My name is Emily Carter, and for 8 years, I thought I was living a stable, predictable, peaceful life with my husband, Daniel. We weren't rich, we weren't perfect, but we were steady, or at least, that's what I had convinced myself. I used to think I knew everything about him: what he liked for breakfast, the way he tapped his fingers when he lied, how he smiled when he was hiding something. Funny thing is, I forgot to notice those signs when it mattered the most. That night, the night everything changed, started so normally. It was a rainy Friday. I remember the tapping sound the drops made against the kitchen window as I washed the dishes after dinner. Daniel had been oddly quiet all evening, scrolling on his phone more than usual, smiling at messages he wouldn't show me. When I asked, "Who are you texting so late?" he didn't even look up. "Just a friend, Relax. Just a friend." I repeated those words in my head, but they didn't sit right. The tone was too casual, too rehearsed, like he had been waiting for me to ask. I tried not to overthink. After all, I trusted him. Or at least, I trusted the version of him I thought I knew. Around 10 p.m., he suddenly stood up from the couch. "I need to go out for a bit," he said, grabbing his jacket. "In this rain?" I frowned. "Where?" He hesitated. It was only for a split second, but hesitation from him always meant trouble. "To help a friend with something," he replied. "It's nothing major." Something inside me twisted. "Which friend?" He cleared his throat. "A Mark." Mark, right. There was one problem. Mark lived 2 hours away and rarely even texted. Still, Daniel kissed my forehead, forced a smile, and walked out into the stormy night. I stood there for 5 minutes, maybe more, staring at the door he'd just walked through. Then I grabbed the cloth on the counter and pretended to clean. But I couldn't stop thinking. Why lie? Why now? Why tonight? My mind fought itself, half of me telling myself to calm down, the other half screaming that something was wrong. At 10:30 p.m., I received a text from an unknown number. "You should check where your husband really is." I froze. My heart actually stopped beating for a second. My first instinct? Spam message. My second? Fear. My third? Anger burning in my chest like wildfire. Before I could reply, a second message came through. "He's not with Mark. Go to the old Willow Street parking lot." My hands trembled so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Who was this? Why were they texting me? Was this a prank? But some dark, instinctive part of me knew it wasn't. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and without thinking twice, I walked out into the cold rain. The drive felt endless. My mind raced with 1,000 possibilities. Maybe Daniel's car broke down. Maybe he stopped to help someone. Maybe God. I wanted to believe the simplest explanation. But the simplest explanations are rarely the true ones. When I turned onto Willow Street, my breath caught in my throat. The parking lot was dimly lit. Rainwater glistened on the pavement. And there, right in the corner, was Daniel's truck. My stomach sank. For a long moment, I sat in my car staring, hoping, begging for any sign that this was all a misunderstanding. But then I saw it. A second silhouette. A woman's silhouette, standing way too close to him, leaning against him, her hand brushing his arm. I couldn't see her face, but I recognized her hair instantly. Long auburn waves. Sophia, my best friend for 10 years. My breath shattered, my vision blurred. I whispered, "No, no, it can't be her." I opened my car door slowly, trying not to make a sound, trying to convince myself I wasn't about to witness what I feared. The rain masked my footsteps, and as I moved closer, their voices became clearer. Daniel's voice, soft, intimate. Sophia's laugh, giggly, flirtatious. Familiar in a way it never should have been around my husband. Then she said it. "You should have told Emily a long time ago. She doesn't deserve to be kept in the dark like this." My heart tightened. What was she talking about? Kept in the dark about what? Daniel sighed. "I know, but I'm not ready yet." Not ready for what? My mind filled the blank instantly. He's leaving me. He's planning to leave me for her. I felt dizzy. The rain, the betrayal, the cold, everything hit me at once. And then I saw it. Daniel leaned in and brushed a wet strand of hair behind her ear. Sophia placed her hand on his chest, and whispered something I couldn't hear. Their faces moved closer. My chest exploded with shock and disbelief. I stepped forward, ready to confront them, ready to scream, ready to destroy everything in that moment. But then, a third figure appeared. A man stepped out of the shadows behind the cars, holding an umbrella and watching them with an eerie stillness, like he'd been expecting this moment. I didn't recognize him, but they did. Sophia gasped. Daniel stiffened. The man stepped closer and said in a calm, chilling voice, "Looks like I arrived just in time." I froze. Who was he? Why did his voice make Daniel panic? The man turned his head slightly toward my direction, like he already knew I was there, watching them. Then he said something that nearly made my knees buckle. "Daniel, if you don't tell her the truth tonight, I will." What truth? What was Daniel hiding? My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst from my chest. Before I could move, before I could even breathe, the man added, "Because she deserves to know what you and Sophia have been hiding from her." And the moment he said that, Daniel looked over his shoulder, straight at me, his face drained of color as if he'd seen a ghost. My voice came out as a whisper. Broken, trembling, betrayed. "Daniel, what have you done?" And that was when everything truly began to unravel. Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but the stranger stepped in front of him and said, "Emily, you're not going to believe what your husband has been hiding, but you need to hear it from me." For a few seconds, everything around me went silent. The rain, my heart beat, even my thoughts. All I could hear was the stranger's voice echoing in my head. "You need to hear it from me." Who was this man? Why did he know my name? Why did Daniel look terrified of him? I stood frozen near my car, soaked from the rain, my coat heavy on my shoulders. Sophia clutched her purse like she wanted to hide behind it. Daniel didn't move at all. He just stared at me with this expression, a mixture of guilt, fear, and something I couldn't quite place. The stranger stepped forward, unbothered by the storm. His umbrella shielded only him, not a drop touching his pressed shirt or polished shoes. He looked so out of place in that dim parking lot, like someone who belonged in a boardroom, not in a confrontation between broken lovers. I swallowed hard. "Who are you?" He gave a thin smile. "My name is Grant Walker." The name meant nothing to me. Not yet. Grant looked at Daniel. "Tell her. Now." Daniel finally blinked. "Emily, please just get back in the car. We can talk at home." "No," I snapped. My voice surprised even me. "You lied to me about where you were. You're out here with Sophia at midnight. And he, whoever he is, talks like he knows what's going on more than I do. I'm not leaving." Sophia stepped forward gently. Please. This isn't what you think." I glared at her, rage boiling under my skin. "Don't call me that." "Not now." She flinched. Grant exhaled sharply, clearly losing patience. "You too," he gestured at Daniel and Sophia, "have stalled long enough. You wanted more time. You got it. But now your wife is here, and she deserves the truth." I turned to Daniel, voice trembling. "What truth? What are you hiding?" Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Emily, it's complicated." Grant's laugh was cold. "It's simple. You made a deal with me, and you broke it." "A deal? With him?" I stepped toward them. "Daniel, what deal is he talking about? And why is Sophia involved?" Sophia looked at the ground. Daniel clenched his jaw. Finally, the truth slipped from Grant's mouth. "Daniel owes me money." My breath caught. "Money? What money? You never told me." "He didn't tell you anything," Grant cut in. "Not about the debt. Not about the reason he kept meeting Sophia behind your back." I turned to Daniel again. "Why her? Why Sophia?" Daniel's eyes flicked to Sophia, silently begging her not to say it. But she whispered it anyway. "Because I'm the one who introduced him to Grant." My stomach twisted. The betrayal burned even deeper now. My best friend, my husband, united behind my back. For what? I demanded. "Why would you involve yourself in his debt?" Sophia hugged her arms around her body and looked close to crying. Before she could answer, Grant stepped forward. "Let me explain, Emily. Because clearly, neither of them is capable of telling you the full story without sugarcoating it." Daniel growled. "Grant, don't." Grant ignored him. "It started 2 years ago," he said, shifting his umbrella slightly. "Daniel made some bad financial decisions. Investments that failed. Loans he couldn't pay back." My eyes widened. "Loans? Daniel, we could have handled it together. Why didn't you?" He was embarrassed, Grant said flatly. "But embarrassment doesn't erase debt." He came to me, desperate. I stared at Daniel. "You told me everything was fine. You told me we were stable." Daniel opened his mouth, but Grant kept going. "And because he couldn't pay back what he owed, he agreed to help me with something else." Something in his tone made my skin crawl. "Help you with what?" Grant tilted his head. "With information. Access. Connections." I frowned. "Connections? Daniel, what is he talking about?" Grant smiled like he enjoyed watching us unravel. "Your husband works at the city planning office. A very convenient place. For a man in my line of work, I felt cold, drenched by the rain, but chilled from the inside out. Daniel whispered, Emily, please listen. So you were giving him inside information? I asked, voice shaking. For money? It wasn't like that, Daniel said quickly. I didn't give him anything illegal. Just tips, leads, opportunities. Grant's eyebrow lifted. That's a nice way of saying it. You helped me get what I needed. And in return, I wiped some of your debt. Some. My heart hammered. How much do you still owe him? Daniel's silence was the answer. Too much. Grant leaned forward slightly, almost like he was confiding in me. When the debt grew again, he brought Sophia to me instead. My entire body froze. What? Sophia shook her head desperately. Emily, no, please. It's not what you think. You expect me to believe anything you say right now? I snapped. Grant sighed dramatically. Sophia convinced me to give Daniel more time. She vouched for him, promised he'd pay. That's all. Nothing else. I stared at the three of them, one liar, one traitor, and one stranger pulling all the strings. So all these secret meetings, the late night calls, the lies. I pointed at Daniel. Were because of him. Then at Sophia. And you helped him keep it from me? Sophia started crying. I was only trying to help him, Emily. He was spiraling. I shook my head. You're my friend. You should have helped me. The rain poured harder. Thunder cracked across the sky. Grant closed his umbrella and let the storm soak him now, his expression turning dark. We're running out of time, he said. Daniel, you know what happens if you don't honor the agreement by Monday. Daniel's face turned white. Agreement? Monday? What agreement? Daniel, I whispered. What does he mean? He swallowed hard. I have until Monday to deliver one last thing he wants. What thing? I could barely breathe. Grant answered for him. Your husband promised to get me restricted access to a confidential development file. My eyes widened. Daniel, that's criminal. You could go to prison. Daniel whispered. I know. And he didn't tell you, Grant added. Because if you knew, you'd try to stop him. Daniel didn't deny it. The rain mixed with the tears on my cheeks as everything clicked together. This wasn't just about money, or Sophia, or lies. This was about Daniel breaking the law, risking everything, dragging Sophia into it, and keeping me completely in the dark. I can't do this anymore, I whispered. I can't lie for you. I can't protect you from this. Daniel stepped toward me. Emily, please. Don't, I said, stepping back. Don't touch me. Grant exhaled sharply and checked his watch. Enough talking. Time's up for tonight. But Monday decides everything. He turned to leave, then paused and gave me one last chilling look. You think this is about betrayal, Emily. But trust me, you don't know the half of it yet. And then he walked away into the rain, leaving me with a sinking feeling that the worst was still coming. Daniel whispered, Emily, I didn't only hide the debt from you. There's something else, something much worse. For a moment after Grant disappeared into the storm, all I could hear was the thundering in my own chest. My heart felt like it was tearing itself apart from the inside. Daniel stood a few feet away, rain dripping from his hair, his jacket clinging to his shoulders. Sophia hovered near him, biting her lip, eyes full of guilt. But all I could focus on were Daniel's last words. There's something else, something much worse. I could barely breathe. What else? My voice was soft, but dangerous, like a wire stretched so tight it was ready to snap. Daniel ran a hand down his soaked face. Emily, not here. Please. Let's go home and talk. Why? I demanded. So you can try to twist the story again? Lie to me? Tell me half-truths like you've been doing for 2 years? Sophia took a shaky step forward. Please. I turned on her with a fury I didn't know I had. Don't say anything. She froze. I faced Daniel again. You're going to tell me right now. He looked around the empty parking lot, as if the truth might change depending on the location. Daniel tried again, voice cracking. It's not safe to say here. Please, Emily. Safe? I laughed bitterly. My own husband isn't safe. My best friend isn't safe. The man you owe money to isn't safe. Why would I suddenly care about safe? Thunder cracked above us. Daniel finally exhaled, defeated. Fine. He stepped closer, lowering his voice like someone might still be listening. The debt isn't the worst part. Then what is? He hesitated. Again. And that hesitation made my stomach twist. Emily. He began slowly, painfully. Grant isn't just a loan shark. Sophia closed her eyes. I frowned. What do you mean? Daniel shifted nervously. He's connected to a development company. A very powerful one. One that's been trying to buy up land in the city. They want certain properties rezoned, and they need information from the planning office to do it. That didn't sound worse than what I already knew. He's basically forcing you into insider trading, I asked. Daniel, that's already. No. Daniel cut me off. It's more than that. It's not just rezoning. It's not just paperwork. Grant wants access to sites that were denied approval because they're too close to protected areas. So? So? Daniel swallowed hard. Those sites include buildings people live in, families, elderly people, businesses. And if they're cleared out illegally, people will get hurt. My blood ran cold. Daniel, tell me you didn't. I didn't, he said quickly. I refused. I refused for months. Sophia added softly. He has. That part isn't a lie. I shot her a glare, but didn't interrupt. Daniel continued. That's why the debt keeps growing. Grant is punishing me for refusing to do the dirty work. My brain struggled to catch up. So when he said Monday is the deadline, Daniel nodded miserably. He wants the final files by Monday morning. And if he doesn't get them, he'll make sure both of us pay. Both of us. The words hit me like a punch. What does that mean? I whispered. What does he plan to do? Daniel shut his eyes like he couldn't bear to say it. Sophia spoke instead, her voice trembling. Emily, Grant threatened to go after your family. I stared at her. What? Daniel grabbed my hands desperately. Emily, I swear. That's why I've been so scared. That's why I didn't tell you. I was trying to protect you. I pulled my hands away. By lying to me? I thought I could fix it myself, he whispered, before you ever had to know. And Sophia? I snapped. Why bring her into it? He hesitated again, another knife to my chest. Sophia has contacts, he finally said. People who know Grant's organization. She tried to negotiate for me. I turned to her slowly. Contacts? What contacts? Sophia looked like she might collapse. I never wanted you to know about any of this. But you let me believe you were just my friend, I said, voice shaking. All while you knew my husband was drowning in a criminal mess. Sophia's tears flowed freely. I was trying to help him without dragging you into danger. Yet here we were, soaked, heartbroken, surrounded by lies. Daniel stepped closer. Emily, I'm sorry for everything. But right now, you need to know the truth. Then tell me all of it, I said. He nodded. The worst part, the part I've been hiding, is that Grant doesn't just want files from the planning office. A knot tightened in my chest. He wants access to you. My breath hitched. What? Daniel lowered his voice to a whisper. He wants to use you. He wants leverage over the community board. He knows you volunteer at the local housing committee. He wants you to influence decisions. This made even less sense. I'm a volunteer, Daniel. Why would he? Because you're trusted, he said. People listen to you. You've lived in the neighborhood your whole life. You're respected. If you support a rezoning decision, others will follow. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. Grant didn't just want Daniel to bend the law. He wanted Emmy to help him destroy families and neighborhoods without ever knowing it. I said no. Daniel added quickly. I told him I would never bring you into this. And when I said that, his voice broke. He doubled the debt. I stood there in the rain, feeling the pieces of my life cracking like shattered glass. You've been lying to me for years, I whispered. About money, about danger, about Sophia, about all of it. Daniel's eyes filled with panic. Yes, but Emily, everything I did was to keep you safe. Safe? I laughed, a broken, humorless laugh. You dragged me into danger without even telling me. Sophia wiped her tears and said, Emily. He was scared. I turned toward her slowly. And you were what, Sophia? His advisor? His secret keeper? His midnight comfort? Sophia looked stunned. No. Emily, I swear. ISAWYOU, I snapped. I saw the way you looked at each other tonight. I heard you talk about hiding things from me. Daniel stepped between us. Emily, please listen. And no, I shouted. I've been listening all night. Now why oh you listen? I took a shaky breath. If Grant thinks I'm going to help him, he's insane. And if you think I'm going to stay with you after everything you've done, you're just as insane. Daniel's face crumpled. Emily, please. Don't leave. Not now. Not when everything is falling apart. I shook my head. Maybe you should have thought about that before you lied to me for 2 years. He reached for me again. I stepped back. Sophia opened her mouth. But before she could speak, a car engine roared nearby. Bright headlights suddenly flashed across us, blinding me for a moment. A dark SUV slowly rolled into the parking lot and stopped just a few feet away from us. The door opened. My blood turned to ice. It wasn't Grant. It wasn't anyone I recognized. A man stepped out wearing a black coat, holding an envelope, and with a cold, emotionless voice, he said, "Emily Carter, this is for you, from Mr. Walker." Then he handed me the envelope, and inside was something I never expected. Not a threat, not a demand, not a file. It was a photograph of me, taken earlier that day, standing outside my office, laughing with a coworker. Someone had been watching me, following me, tracking me, for days, weeks, months. My hands shook violently as Daniel whispered, "Oh God, he's moving faster than I thought." I looked up at Daniel, my voice barely a whisper. "Daniel, what exactly did you drag me into?" For a long, terrifying moment, I couldn't move. I just stared at the photograph in my trembling hand, me, taken earlier today without my knowledge, like a hunted animal. Rainwater slid down my face, mixing with the cold sweat that had formed there. My lungs tightened with panic. Someone had been following me, documenting me. For Grant. Daniel cursed under his breath, pacing in small, frantic circles. Sophia covered her mouth with both hands as if she were going to be sick. "Emily," Daniel whispered, voice breaking, "please, don't freak out. It's meant to scare you, just a pressure tactic." I snapped my head toward him, eyes wide with fury. "A pressure tactic?" "Daniel, there was a man taking pictures of me today. Do you understand how insane that sounds? Do you understand how dangerous this is?" He winced. I know, and I'm sorry. I never wanted it to get this far. It shouldn't have gotten anywhere near this far," I shot back. "But instead of telling me the truth, you kept digging until you buried us both." Sophia stepped closer, arms wrapped tightly around her body. "Emily, Grant is accelerating. He's not giving Daniel the time he promised." "Oh, so now your criminal friend is impatient," I hissed. "Great." Sophia's eyes widened. "He's not my friend." I turned fully toward her. "Really? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been helping him behind my back. You vouched for Daniel. You kept his secrets. You lied to me." Her chin trembled. "I did it to protect you. Both of you." I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound I barely recognized. "No, Sophia. You did it to protect Daniel. Don't pretend this was for me." She swallowed hard, but didn't deny it. Daniel stepped between us again. "Enough. Please. Arguing isn't going to help us right now." "Oh, believe me," I said, stepping back. "This conversation is long overdue." But before I could say more, the man in the black coat, still standing beside the SUV, spoke calmly. "Mr. Walker said he will contact you again, soon." He tipped his head, walked back to the SUV, and drove off as if he had just delivered a pizza instead of a threat. Thunder rumbled again, echoing the dread building inside me. Daniel reached for my arm. "Emily, please. Let's go home. We can talk inside, where it's safe." Safe. The word sounded so meaningless now. But standing in the dark parking lot with my life unraveling at my feet wasn't helping either. So I nodded weakly. As we all walked toward Daniel's truck, Sophia stayed a few steps behind. It was like she didn't know whether she was still part of this group or just an outsider who had messed everything up. When we reached the passenger door, I paused. "Actually," I said, turning to Sophia, "you go home." Sophia froze. "Emily, no. We're done for tonight. I don't want you with us." Her eyes glistened. She nodded slowly, accepting the blow without fighting it. Daniel didn't say anything. Maybe he knew better. Maybe he was just too exhausted to argue. Sophia whispered, "Please call me if you need anything." "Good night, Sophia," I said, my voice flat. She walked away without looking back, disappearing into the rain. THE drive home. The ride home was suffocating. Neither of us spoke. The windshield wipers dragged across the glass in a slow rhythm, like a heartbeat winding down. I couldn't stop staring at the photograph in my lap. The angle, the distance. Whoever took it was close. Too close. My mind was a whirlpool of fear and questions. Why me? Why now? What exactly did Grant want from me? And why was Daniel so terrified of Monday? When we finally pulled into our driveway, Daniel turned off the engine, but didn't move. "Emily," his voice trembled. "You have every right to hate me. Every right to be furious. But I promise you, every step I took was to protect you." I turned slowly, exhaustion weighing down my bones. "If you were protecting me, I whispered. Why do I feel like I'm in more danger than ever? He closed his eyes. Because I made a mistake, a huge one, and I thought I could fix it alone. My voice cracked. Why didn't you come to me? He opened his eyes, red, tired, broken. Because I didn't want you to think I was weak, or stupid, or a failure. My chest tightened. Daniel, we're supposed to be partners. You don't hide your failures from your partner. I wanted to be your protector, he said quietly, not your burden. Tears blurred my vision, and instead you became my worst nightmare. He flinched like I'd slapped him. We sat there in silence until I finally whispered, What happens on Monday, Daniel? He swallowed hard. If I don't get him what he wants, Grant will expose everything. I frowned. Expose what? He looked away. The money, the illegal transfers, the meetings, every message, every file request, everything I ever did for him. My stomach dropped. Daniel, you said you didn't give him anything illegal. His silence lasted 3 seconds too long. Daniel, look at me. My voice shook, but my eyes didn't. What did you give him? He didn't answer. I whispered again. Daniel, what did you do? Finally, he spoke. Quiet. Broken. Almost too soft to hear. I gave him access to the restricted zoning portal. My heart stopped. That portal controls eviction notices, Daniel. He nodded miserably. I know. You allowed him to file approvals. Yes. You allowed him to push people out of their homes. Yes. You let a criminal manipulate the city's housing decisions. He didn't defend himself. I pressed both hands to my mouth in horror. Daniel, people lost their homes because of this. He nodded again, tears sliding down his cheeks. And now he wants to use me to speed up the next phase, I whispered. That's why he's watching me. Yes. That one word echoed in the silence between us. Even though Daniel didn't say it out loud, I couldn't breathe. I opened the truck door and stumbled out into the rain. Daniel ran after me, grabbing my arm gently. Emily, please don't go inside alone. We don't know if anyone else is watching the house. I jerked my arm away. I can't even look at you right now. He staggered back like I'd punched him. Emily, where are you going? I don't know. Away from here. Away from you. Away from all of this. He shook his head desperately. Please, if you walk away now, Grant will think we're weak. He'll push harder. I turned slowly, staring at him through the downpour. You're scared of him hurting you. I pointed at the photograph in my hand. I'm scared of him hurting me. Daniel swallowed hard. Emily, I'll fix this. I swear I will. How, Daniel? I whispered. By Monday? By doing something even worse than what you've already done? He didn't answer. I took a step back, then another. Emily, he whispered, stepping toward me. Don't leave. Please. I can't lose you. I stared at the man I once trusted with my entire life and realized I didn't recognize him anymore. I already lost you, I said softly. Long before tonight. Daniel covered his face with both hands, sobbing into them. I turned to walk down the driveway, anywhere at all. But then my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. A text message from an unknown number. Just like before. Emily, I can help you. But first, you need to stop trusting your husband. My blood ran cold. Another message came in instantly. Meet me tomorrow morning. Alone. My heart pounded. A third message arrived. If you don't, you won't survive Monday. I staggered. Daniel rushed forward. What? What happened? Who texted you? My voice barely came out as a whisper. Daniel, someone else knows. Before Daniel could respond, a fourth message appeared, and this one made my entire body go numb. And don't tell Daniel about this. Not unless you want him dead. I don't think I took a breath the entire drive home. My hands were still shaking on the wheel, and every few seconds my vision blurred with tears I didn't have time to wipe away. All I kept hearing was Ryan's voice in my head. You need to get home. Now. By the time I turned onto our street, my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. Something felt wrong, worse than before. Our house looked too quiet, too still. Even the porch light flickered like it was warning me. I parked quickly and jumped out before the engine fully shut off. The moment I opened the front door, I felt it. A coldness, a heaviness, like the house itself had been holding its breath. Ryan? My voice echoed through the entryway. No answer. I walked deeper inside, stepping cautiously, my pulse in my ears. Then I heard it, a muffled voice. In the living room. Two voices. Arguing. I took another step, but something inside me whispered stop, because one of the voices wasn't Ryan. It was Emma, my best friend, the woman who had sworn she barely knew Daniel, the woman who had claimed she'd support me no matter what. Her voice trembled with anger. You weren't supposed to drag her into this. Ryan answered, I didn't drag her into anything. You did when you lied to her. I froze. My hands went numb. Emma was here. In my house. With Ryan. Why? Why was she here at midnight? Alone with my husband. I pushed myself forward, body moving before my mind caught up. I stepped into the living room, and both of them turned toward me at the same time. Ryan looked exhausted. Emma looked terrified. What? What is going on? I demanded. Emma glanced at Ryan as if begging him not to speak. But Ryan didn't wait. She needs to know. My heart thudded painfully. Know what? Emma's eyes filled with tears. I was trying to protect you. Protect me from what? I snapped. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, defeated. From the truth. I took a step back. My stomach twisted. Stop talking in riddles. Someone tell me what is happening right now. Emma opened her mouth, but Ryan beat her to it. Emma's been covering for Daniel for months. I blinked. Covering for him? Emma winced. It wasn't like that. Yes, it was. Ryan said sharply. You knew what he was doing to her. You knew about the lies. The cheating. Everything. You helped him hide it. The room started spinning. I looked at Emma slowly, like I was trying to recognize her for the first time. You helped Daniel cheat on me? Emma swallowed hard. I didn't want you to get hurt. I laughed, broken, disbelieving. So you helped him hurt me behind my back? That's your definition of protecting me? Tears dripped down Emma's cheeks. You were so happy, and I didn't want to ruin that. Ryan shook his head. She wasn't just covering for him. She was seeing him too. My lungs collapsed. What? I whispered. Emma shut her eyes like she wished the floor would swallow her. I'm sorry. My chest tightened. You were with him? My voice cracked. You slept with him? Emma burst into sobs. It was a mistake. A mistake you repeated? Ryan cut in. More than once. My knees almost gave out. I stumbled backward until I hit the wall and slid down it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All the pieces crashed together at once. The late nights, the excuses, the way Daniel always seemed to know things I told Emma privately. Because she was telling him. Because they weren't just friends. They were sleeping together. My best friend. My husband. I felt sick. Violated. Betrayed on a level I didn't even know existed. Emma dropped to her knees in front of me. Please listen. He lied to me too. He told me you two were basically over. Get away from me, I whispered. She froze. Don't ever talk to me again. Her face crumpled. But I didn't care. I didn't have space for her pain. Not anymore. Ryan gently pulled her to her feet. You should go. Emma looked at me one last time and whispered, I loved you like a sister. I didn't answer. She left the house with her hands shaking. The door clicked shut. Silence filled the room. I didn't realize how violently I was trembling until Ryan sat beside me and placed a blanket over my shoulders. Why? Why didn't you tell me earlier? I choked out. Because I only found out tonight, he said quietly. Emma came to the station. She broke down. She said Daniel was planning to come back and pretend nothing happened. She said he intended to make you believe you messed up the marriage. A cold chill washed over me. I didn't want you to walk into the worst moment of your life unprepared. I wiped at my eyes. Ryan, I don't even know who to trust anymore. He hesitated, just for a second, then spoke softly. You can trust me. My breath hitched, because I heard something in his voice I'd been trying to ignore for weeks. Care. Affection. Something more. I'm not going to push you into anything, he continued. But you deserve someone who chooses you. Every day. Without lies. Without secrets. I stared at him, my heart pounding for reasons I didn't understand. Ryan. Before I could finish, the sound of gravel crunching outside made us both turn our heads sharply. Footsteps. Heavy. Familiar. Ryan stood instantly. Stay behind me. A shadow moved past the window. My blood ran cold. Daniel. He was back. He was here. He was coming toward the door. Ryan reached for his holster. I pushed myself up, still shaking. The front doorknob turned slowly. And that's when I knew. This night wasn't over. Not even close. The door swung open, and Daniel stepped inside, his eyes locked on me. We need to talk. Now.